The sleek silver ship named Harmony slid into Earth orbit with barely a ripple in the sensors. It was the first official diplomatic vessel from the Galactic Confederation to visit humanity's homeworld. On the observation deck, Ambassador Vreen Tal pressed 4 of his 6 limbs against the viewing panel, his large eyes blinking rapidly as he took in the blue-green planet below. So much water, he whispered, and so many different environments in one world. No wonder they call it a death world. His assistant, Zikara, checked the readings on her pad. The atmosphere contains oxygen at levels that would be toxic on 12 Confederation worlds. The gravity is 1.3 times our standard. And the biodiversity? She paused, her voice dropping. Over 8 million species, Ambassador. Many of them predatory. Vreental's skin rippled with unease. The concept of predators was disturbing to most Confederation species. Their homeworlds had evolved without significant predator-prey dynamics, allowing for the development of peaceful, cooperative societies. The few predatory species that had achieved space travel were carefully monitored. Yet they achieved spaceflight, Vreental said, and they seem eager to join the greater galactic community. The communication panel chimed. Ambassador, the Earth delegation is ready to board. Very well, Vreental straightened his ceremonial robes. Let us meet these Deathworlders. Captain Olivia Martinez adjusted her uniform one last time before the airlock opened. As the leader of Earth's first contact team, she knew the importance of this moment. Beside her, Lieutenant John Kelly stood at attention, his face serious, but his eyes bright with excitement. Remember, she said quietly, no sudden movements. Their species evolved without significant predators. They find quick movements threatening. Kelly nodded. Yes, Captain. Still hard to believe there are worlds out there without lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, Martinez said with a small smile, then composed herself as the airlock hissed open. The aliens waiting for them were tall and slender, with 6 limbs and skin that seemed to shift colors slightly as they moved. Their large eyes took up most of their faces and they had no visible mouth, communicating through a combination of skin color changes and telepathic technology. Ambassador Vreental, Martinez said, bowing slightly rather than extending her hand as humans typically would. On behalf of Earth, we welcome you and your delegation. The alien's skin rippled with blue and gold patterns. The translation device at Martinez's ear converted this into words. Captain Martinez. Lieutenant Kelly, the Confederation extends greetings to your world. We look forward to learning more about your species. The initial meeting went smoothly. The human delegation showed the aliens to their quarters on the space station and arranged a schedule of meetings and tours. It wasn't until the 3rd day that things became complicated. And this is our hydroponics bay, Martinez explained as they walked through the Earth Station's agricultural section. We grow supplemental fresh vegetables here for the station crew. The aliens seemed fascinated by the growing plants, their skin flickering with patterns that the translator interpreted as scientific curiosity. Suddenly, a door at the far end of the bay slid open, and a crew member walked in. Beside him trotted a large German shepherd dog. Max, heel, the man called as the dog spotted the visitors and began bounding toward them. The effect on the alien delegation was immediate and dramatic. Their skin flashed bright warning colors, and they backed away rapidly, 2 of them actually falling over in their haste. Secure that animal, Martinez ordered sharply, and the crew member grabbed Max's collar, pulling him back. I'm so sorry, Ambassador, Martinez said, turning to Vreental, who was trembling visibly. I should have warned you. Some humans keep domesticated animals as companions. Max is Lieutenant Kelly's pet. He's completely harmless. Vreental's skin slowly returned to a more neutral pattern, but he kept his distance from the dog. You keep predators as pets? The translator couldn't quite capture the mix of horror and disbelief in the alien's response. Max is domesticated, Kelly explained, approaching and kneeling beside his dog, who sat obediently, once commanded. His ancestors were wolves that humans formed partnerships with thousands of years ago. Now he's a companion animal. He helps with security sometimes, but mostly he's just my friend. The aliens gathered in a tight group, their skin patterns shifting rapidly as they communicated privately among themselves. Perhaps we should continue the tour another time, Martinez suggested diplomatically. This seems to have been unsettling for you. Yes, Vreental agreed, his colors still showing distress. We would like to return to our quarters to process this information. Later that evening, Martinez received an urgent message requesting a meeting with the Confederation delegation. When she arrived at their quarters, she found the aliens gathered around a display showing images of Earth's wildlife. Captain, Vreental began, his patterns showing what the translator interpreted as deep concern. We have been reviewing your planetary database. Your world contains thousands of species that would be classified as dangerous predators by Confederation standards. That's correct, Martinez nodded. Earth's evolutionary history is based on predator-prey relationships. Most complex life forms either eat other animals or are eaten by them. And yet, another alien, Science Officer Lorma, interjected, we find records of humans keeping many of these predators as what you call pets or companion animals. Not just these dogs, but also smaller predators called cats, birds with sharp beaks, and even reptiles with venomous capabilities. That's also correct, Martinez said. Humans have a long history of forming bonds with other species, including predators. The alien skin patterns became increasingly agitated as Vreental brought up another set of images. We have also discovered historical records showing humans using predatory animals for hunting, protection, and even warfare. These wolves, birds called falcons, and other creatures were directed by humans to attack other beings. Martinez sighed. This was going to be a complicated diplomatic situation. Ambassador, human history with predatory animals is complex. Yes, we've domesticated some predators and formed partnerships with them. We've learned to understand them, and in many ways we've come to respect and even love them. The aliens' patterns shifted in what seemed like collective shock. I think, Martinez said carefully, there may be something fundamentally different about how humans evolved compared to Confederation species. We evolved not by avoiding predators, but by understanding them, sometimes becoming predators ourselves, and sometimes forming alliances with them. Vreental's colors slowly shifted to a pattern Martinez hadn't seen before. The translator hesitated, then provided fascination mixed with concern. Captain Martinez, the ambassador said finally, I believe we have much to learn about each other, and I begin to understand why your species refers to itself as Deathworlders with a certain pride. You do not merely survive among predators. No. Martinez smiled slightly. We take them in, we make them family. 6 months after the first contact, a small research ship landed in a clearing near the Amazon rainforest. Humidity hung in the air like a wet blanket as the team stepped outside. Dr. Alan Garcia wiped sweat from his forehead and looked up at the towering trees. Beside him, Dr. Susan Wright checked her equipment pack one last time. I still can't believe they agreed to this expedition, Susan said. After how they reacted to Max on the space station, I thought they'd never want to see Earth's wildlife up close. Alan nodded. Curiosity won out over fear, I guess. That's one thing we seem to have in common with them. The ramp behind them hummed as the alien members of the research team emerged. Xenoanthropologist Zikara led the group of 5 Confederation scientists. Unlike their first meeting 6 months ago, the aliens now wore specially designed environmental suits to protect them from Earth's atmosphere and potential biological contaminants. Dr. Garcia, Dr. Wright, Zikara greeted them, her suit translating her skin patterns into spoken words. We are prepared for today's observation journey. Great, Alan said with a friendly smile. We'll start with a short hike to the observation platform. It gives us a good view of several different habitats. Remember to stay on the path and close to the group. The aliens moved carefully, their long limbs awkward in the dense forest. Every new sound made them flinch. Birds calling, monkeys, chattering in the distance, even the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Your world is so loud, one of the aliens, a biologist named Trelvin, commented. Our homeworlds are much quieter. Prey species learn to be silent to avoid detection. Here, many animals use sound to claim territory or find mates, Susan explained. Even prey species sometimes make noise to warn others of danger or to confuse predators. The group reached the observation platform after an hour of slow walking. The wooden structure stood 20 feet above the forest floor, providing views across a small clearing to a river beyond. Alan set up recording equipment while Susan handed out water bottles to the human members and cooling packs for the alien suits. Over there, Alan said quietly, pointing toward the edge of the clearing. A capybara, world's largest rodent, completely herbivorous. The aliens watched with interest as the large guinea pig-like animal grazed peacefully. It seems unaware of potential dangers, Zikara observed. On our worlds, prey species are constantly vigilant. Watch, Susan said. A moment later, the capybara's head shot up. It froze, then bolted for the water, diving in with barely a splash. Seconds later, a jaguar emerged from the forest edge, its spotted coat blending perfectly with the dappled sunlight. The reaction from the alien scientists was immediate. They backed away from the railing, their skin flashing danger patterns despite the suits concealing most of their bodies. That's a jaguar, Alan said calmly, focusing his camera on the predator. Third largest big cat species on Earth, apex predator in this ecosystem. You're not alarmed? Trelvan asked, his translator conveying his shock. We're perfectly safe up here, Susan reassured them. Jaguars don't climb observation platforms, and they generally avoid humans. The jaguar paced near the water's edge, seeming to consider whether to follow its prey, then turned and melted back into the forest. Remarkable, Zikara said after a moment. You showed no fear response at all. Respect, yes. Fear, not really, Alan said. We understand what the jaguar can do, but we also understand its behavior patterns. Knowledge replaces fear. The aliens seem to consider this deeply. One of them, a cultural specialist named Brenda, brought up an image on her portable screen. It showed ancient human cave paintings of hunters and wolves working together to pursue larger prey. We found these historical records, she said. They seem to indicate that humans hunted alongside predators very early in your civilization. Alan nodded. That's right. We domesticated wolves at least 15,000 years ago. Those wolves evolved into dogs. Some researchers think we might have hunt with wolves even before formal domestication. But why? Zikara asked. Why would your species seek out predators as companions? Mutual benefit, Susan explained. Wolves and later dogs have better senses of smell and hearing than we do. We have better problem-solving skills and tools. Together, we made a more efficient hunting team than either species alone. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and Alan checked his weather monitor. Storm's coming in faster than expected. We should head back to the ship. They had barely started down the path when the rain began. Not a gentle shower, but a sudden tropical downpour that turned the dirt path into mud within minutes. The group moved carefully, the humans helping the less sure-footed aliens. Suddenly, a loud crack split the air as a lightning strike hit a nearby tree. The ground beneath them shifted as the tree's roots gave way in the softened soil. Trelvan slipped, tumbling down a short but steep embankment. Stay here, Alan called to the others as he and Susan carefully made their way down to the fallen alien. Trelvan's environmental suit was torn, and a branch had punctured one of his lower limbs. The alien's skin flashed patterns of pain and fear through the transparent parts of his suit. The wound pattern is similar to predator punctures I've treated in wildlife, Susan said as she examined the injury. I can help, but we need to get back to the ship quickly. Alan nodded, helping to stabilize the limb while Susan applied emergency medical spray to seal the suit breach and stem the bleeding. How do you know how to treat such injuries? Zikara asked, having carefully made her way down to join them. I'm a veterinarian, Susan explained as she worked. I've treated injuries from predator attacks many times. The principles are similar across species. Clean the wound, stop the bleeding, prevent infection. With careful coordination, they managed to carry Trelvan back to the ship. In the medical bay, Susan worked alongside the alien medical officer to properly treat the wound. Later, as the storm raged outside, the research team gathered in the ship's common area. Trelvan rested comfortably, his suit repaired and his injury treated. "I've been reviewing more of your historical records," Sikara said to the humans. "Your species has a complex relationship with predators. You fear them, hunt them, protect them, worship them, and befriend them, sometimes all at once." Alan nodded. "Predators shaped human evolution. We learned to think like them to hunt them, and later to hunt with them. In many early human cultures, predators were sacred," Susan added. "Bears, wolves, eagles, sharks, they were seen as powerful spirits or gods. People would perform rituals to take on their qualities." "And now?" Brenda asked. "Now you keep them as pets and treat their wounds when they are injured." "We recognize something of ourselves in them," Alan said. "The drive to survive, to protect their young, to be part of a community. Many predators are social animals like humans." Zikara's skin patterns shifted to what the humans had learned to recognize as deep thought. "Perhaps this is why your species survived on such a dangerous world. You didn't just avoid predators or merely fight them." "No," Susan said with a small smile. "We watched them, learned from them, and eventually, we took them in." A year after first contact, the sleek diplomatic vessel from Earth entered orbit around Harmonia, the capital world of the Galactic Confederation. Through the viewports, Ambassador Frank Ortiz and Commander Nicole Davis watched the planet grow. Larger, a peaceful world of gentle hills, shallow seas, and carefully planned cities. "Beautiful," Frank said, adjusting his formal uniform. "Hard to believe their entire planet has less biodiversity than a single rainforest on Earth." Nicole nodded. "No large predators at all in their evolutionary history. Their scientists are still trying to understand how our brains work differently because of that." Nate approached them. "Ambassador, Commander, we'll be docking in 20 minutes. The welcoming committee is already assembled." "Thank you, Peter," Frank said. "Is everything ready for the presentation?" "Yes, sir. All the scientific data is loaded and the visual aids are prepared." Nicole checked her notes one last time. As Earth's expert on evolutionary biology, she would be giving a key presentation at the Galactic Summit. The stakes were high. Earth's admission to the Confederation depended partly on convincing the member species that humans weren't a danger, despite evolving on what they called a death world. The docking went smoothly. A group of Confederation officials greeted them with formal patterns of welcome displayed on their skin. After a year of contact, humans had gotten better at reading these patterns without always relying on translators. Ambassador Ortiz, Commander Davis, the lead alien said, his skin showing blue and gold ripples of formal greeting. "I am Counselor Prellner. Welcome to Harmonia." "Thank you, Counselor," Frank replied with a slight bow. Earth is honored by this invitation. They were escorted to comfortable quarters in the diplomatic tower. The furniture had been specially modified to accommodate human physiology. Even the gravity had been adjusted to match Earth's. "The opening ceremony begins in 3 hours, Prellnor told them. "Your presentation is scheduled for tomorrow morning." After the alien left, Nicole turned to Frank. "They've gone to a lot of trouble to make us comfortable. That's a good sign, right?" Frank shrugged. "Maybe. But I've heard rumors that some Confederation species are pushing to classify Earth as a monitored world rather than offering full membership. They think we're too unpredictable. Then we'll just have to change their minds." The opening ceremony was impressive. Representatives from over 50 worlds gathered in the Grand Chamber. Humans weren't the only new species being considered for membership, but they drew the most curious stares. Frank delivered a short speech about Earth's hopes for peaceful cooperation and cultural exchange. It seemed well received, with skin patterns, showing mostly interest and cautious optimism among the delegates. The real test came the next morning. Nicole stood at the center of the presentation chamber. Delegates from all Confederation worlds sat in rising tiers around her, their large eyes fixed on her every move. Hovering screens displayed her credentials and research focus. "Distinguished representatives," she began. "Today I will explain how Earth's ecosystem shaped human evolution, particularly our relationship with predatory species. The first images appeared. Timeline of Earth showing the development of different species. Unlike most Confederation worlds, Earth developed numerous predator-prey relationships. Competition for resources was fierce, driving rapid evolutionary changes. She showed footage of various predators hunting, lions chasing gazelles, eagles swooping down on fish, wolves coordinating to bring down larger prey. Early humans were both predator and prey. We weren't the strongest or fastest species, but we developed unique adaptations, endurance running, tool use, and most importantly, advanced pattern recognition and social cooperation. Nicole noticed some delegates displaying patterns of discomfort as she showed recreations of early humans hunting. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, she explained. We couldn't outrun prey, but we could outlast them through superior temperature regulation and endurance. We learned to read tracks and predict animal behavior. We became experts at understanding the minds of other species, including predators. The next images showed ancient cave paintings depicting humans with wolves. About 15,000 years ago, something remarkable happened. Humans formed partnerships with wolves, themselves apex predators. We didn't just avoid predators. We didn't just hunt them. We formed alliances with them. Ripples of color moved through the audience. Surprise, confusion, and in some cases, alarm. Over generations, these wolves evolved into dogs through selective breeding. Humans chose individuals that were better at reading human emotions and following human direction. In return, we provided food, shelter, and protection. She showed images of various modern dog breeds working alongside humans, herding sheep, finding lost people, guiding the blind. This partnership changed both species. Dogs became attuned to human emotions and commands. Humans developed increased empathy and understanding of non-human minds. A delegate from a small blue-skinned species raised a limb. Commander Davis, are you suggesting that humans deliberately modified another predatory species to serve them? Nicole chose her words carefully. We formed a mutually beneficial relationship. Early dogs that cooperated well with humans received better care and had more offspring. It was cooperation, not servitude. Another delegate's skin flashed patterns of concern. But this suggests humans have no natural fear response to predators. All civilized species evolve to avoid dangerous creatures. We do fear dangerous situations, Nicole clarified. But we also developed the ability to understand and predict predator behavior. Knowledge replaced blind fear. She was about to continue when a commotion broke out at the back of the chamber. A group of delegates were viewing something on their data pads, their skin patterns showing alarm. Counselor Prelnor approached the center platform. Commander Davis, it appears some classified human footage has been leaked to the delegates. Nicole's heart sank as she saw what was playing on screens around the room. Military training videos showing police dogs apprehending suspects and military K-9 units in tactical operations. The chamber erupted in flashing patterns of shock and alarm. One delegate's translator boomed over the noise. They weaponize predators. They direct them against other beings. Prelnor raised his limbs. For quiet. This breach of protocol is unacceptable. These materials were not cleared for this session. Frank rushed to the platform. If I may address this concern, he said firmly. What you're seeing are highly trained service animals that work with law enforcement. They are used primarily for their senses and speed, and are trained to minimize harm. But the damage was done. Many delegates were displaying patterns that humans had learned to recognize as fear or distrust. Perhaps, a tall, thin delegate said, rising from his seat, the question we should be asking is not whether Deathworlders can join our peaceful confederation, but whether a species that forms alliances with predators might themselves be predatory by nature. Nicole watched as ripples of agreement moved through the chamber. What had started as a scientific presentation had become a diplomatic crisis. She caught Frank's eye, seeing the same worry reflected there. Years of careful diplomacy were unraveling. Because of one fundamental truth the Confederation species couldn't seem to accept. Humans didn't just survive among predators. They understood them, respected them, partnered with them, and in some ways, had become them. The Galactic Summit was scheduled to last another week, but suddenly Earth's admission seemed far from certain. The Earth vessel Pathfinder cruised through the outer reaches of the solar system, near the Confederation Research Outpost. Captain Derek Williams stood on the bridge, looking at the stars. As one of the few human ships allowed to operate near Confederation space, they had strict orders to maintain good relations. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a distress signal from the Confederation outpost." Derek turned quickly. "Put it through." The screen flickered, with static before showing a panicked alien face. The translation came through broken and filled with static. "Unknown species. Attacked without warning. Need immediate predatory behavior. Cannot defend." Then the transmission cut off. "How far are we from the outpost?" Derek asked. 20 minutes at full speed, sir," the navigator reported. "Set course immediately. Alert security teams and medical. We don't know what we're walking into." The Pathfinder accelerated toward the research station. As they approached, they saw damage to the outer hull of the large circular structure. "Life signs?" Derek asked. "Multiple Confederation signatures inside the station," reported the sensor officer. "And something else. Reading several unknown life forms. Larger than human, moving fast." Derek made his decision quickly. "Prepare a rescue team. Standard. Weapons plus Officer Rodriguez and Scout." Within minutes, the rescue team had assembled in the shuttle bay. 10 security personnel checked their non-lethal restraint weapons. Officer Lisa Rodriguez stood with her Belgian Malinois, Scout, a specially trained dog who wore a lightweight protective vest. "Remember," Derek told the team, "our priority is evacuating the Confederation personnel. We don't know what these unknown creatures are, but they're described as predatory. That means they likely have hunting instincts we can understand and predict." The shuttle docked with the damaged station. As the airlock opened, the smell hit them immediately. A sharp, musky odor that made Scout growl softly. "Smells like a predator," Lisa said quietly, one hand on Scout's head to keep him calm. "Scout recognizes it as a threat." Derek nodded. "Stay alert. Rodriguez, you and Scout take point. Your job is to track, not engage." They moved through the damaged corridors of the station. Emergency lights cast red shadows and occasional sparks flew from damaged systems. Scout moved with his nose to the ground, body tense but controlled. They found the first Confederation survivor hiding in a storage locker. The alien was trembling, skin flashing patterns of extreme fear. "We're from Earth," Derek said gently. "We received your distress call." The alien's translator struggled to convert its rapid color changes. "The Vrex, they came from the transport ship. We thought they were non-sentient specimens, but they were waiting, hunting." "How many survivors?" Derek asked. 12 of us, scattered, hiding." Derek assigned 2 security officers to escort the alien back to the shuttle, then continued deeper into the station. At a junction, Scout suddenly froze, his body pointing down the right corridor. Lisa knelt beside him, one hand on his back. "He's picked up a fresh scent," she whispered. "Something came through here very recently." Derek signaled the team to prepare. From down the corridor came a sound, a low, rumbling growl that was nothing like any Confederation species they had encountered. The creature that emerged from the shadows was massive, nearly 7 feet tall, covered in scaly plates with powerful limbs ending in curved claws. Its head featured multiple eyes and a jaw that split 4 ways, filled with needle-like teeth. The security team raised their weapons, but Derek held up his hand. The creature hadn't attacked yet. It was studying them, head tilted in what seemed like curiosity. Scout remained perfectly still beside Lisa, not barking or lunging as he would normally do with a threat. Instead, the dog was mirroring his handler's calm, controlled posture. "It's assessing us," Lisa said quietly. "Predator behavior, deciding if we're prey, threat, or something else." Derek nodded slightly. "Back away slowly. No sudden movements." The team began to retreat step by step. The creature followed at a distance, still watching. "Sir," one of the security officers whispered, "there are more behind us." Derek glanced back to see two more of the creatures approaching from the rear, effectively trapping the team in the corridor. They're coordinating, Lisa observed. Pack hunters, Derek thought quickly. Rodriguez, can Scout create a distraction? Lisa nodded. She knelt beside the dog, whispering commands. Scout's ears perked up as he understood his task. Ready when you are, Captain. On my mark, Derek said, keeping his voice steady. 3, 2, 1. Lisa gave Scout the hand signal. The dog immediately raced forward, not toward the creatures but toward a side passage. He barked loudly, drawing the attention of the predators. As they turned to follow the new sound, the security team slipped into another corridor. Scout rejoined them a minute later, having circled around through the ventilation system as he was trained to do. Good boy, Lisa said quietly, giving him a quick pat. Over the next hour, the team used similar tactics to navigate the station. They found survivors hiding in labs, storage rooms, and maintenance shafts. Each told the same story. The creatures, called Vrex, had been brought aboard as specimens but had broken free and begun hunting the crew systematically. In the main laboratory, they found 4 Confederation scientists barricaded behind sealed doors. Through the window, Derek could see they were injured but alive. We can't open that door without security codes, a security officer said. And if we do, those things will hear us, another added. Lisa looked at Scout, then at Derek. Sir? Scout can bring them something to treat their wounds while we figure out extraction. Derek nodded. Lisa prepared a small medical kit and attached it to Scout's vest. Then she opened a small maintenance hatch, just big enough for the dog but far too small for the Vrex. Medical delivery, Scout, she commanded softly. The dog immediately understood, squeezing through the small opening and trotting over to the trapped aliens. At first, the Confederation scientists backed away in terror from the approaching canine. Their skin flashed warning patterns. It's okay, Derek called through the comms. He's bringing medical supplies, he won't hurt you. Cautiously, one of the aliens took the kit from Scout's vest. The dog sat patiently, waiting for his next command. While the aliens treated their wounds, Derek's team set up a distraction on the far side of the station, remote noisemakers that mimicked human movements and voices. When activated, they drew the attention of most of the Vrex. Now, Derek ordered. They quickly cut through the lab door's manual override and evacuated the scientists. With Scout leading the way, nose constantly testing the air for Vrex scent, they made their way back toward the shuttle. They were nearly there when 3 Vrex appeared, blocking their path to safety. The creatures advanced slowly, their hunting behavior clear to Lisa's trained eye. They're going to rush us, she warned. Derek made a quick decision. Rodriguez, hunting sequence. Lisa nodded and gave Scout a special hand signal. The dog immediately shifted posture, moving forward with purpose. The Vrex hesitated, confused by the smaller predator's confident advance. Scout didn't attack. Instead, he performed a complex series of movements, darting left and right, creating patterns of motion that disoriented the larger predators. It was a technique developed from studying how smaller predators distract larger ones in the wild. In the momentary confusion, the security team used non-lethal stun weapons to incapacitate the Vrex. Minutes later, they were all safely aboard the shuttle and heading back to the Pathfinder. The rescued Confederation scientists watched in fascination as Lisa rewarded Scout with praise and a special treat from her pocket. You worked with the animal, one of the scientists said, skin patterns showing amazement. It understood complex, tactical situations. Scout is my partner, Lisa explained simply. We train together, work together, trust each other. The alien's translator conveyed confusion. But it is a predator, how can you trust it? Lisa smiled, scratching behind Scout's ears. Because humans understand predators. We've lived alongside them, learned from them. Scout's ancestors were wolves, apex predators. Now he uses those instincts to protect and rescue. The aliens communicated among themselves with rapid color changes. Finally, one turned back to Lisa. Perhaps, the scientist said slowly, we have misjudged Earth humans. You faced these predatory Vrex not with fear, but with understanding. You knew their behaviors, their hunting patterns. You even used another predator to help rescue us. Derek nodded. On Earth, understanding dangerous creatures is how we survive. It's not just about fighting them or running from them. It's about knowing how they think. As the Pathfinder moved away from the damaged station, the rescued Confederation scientists continued to watch Lisa and Scout with new fascination. One of them finally asked the question that seemed to be on all their minds. Is this why humans call themselves Deathworlders? Not because your world is dangerous, but because you understand danger in ways we cannot? 6 months after the border incident with the Vrex, the Grand Chamber of the Confederation capital was filled to capacity. Representatives from all member worlds gathered for the ceremony marking Earth's full admission to the Galactic Confederation. The mood was dramatically different from the tense summit of the previous year. Ambassador Frank Ortiz stood beside Dr. Samantha Lee, newly appointed head of the Interspecies Cooperation Division. Behind them, Captain Derek Williams and Officer Ogwo Lisa Rodriguez waited with quiet pride. At Frank's feet sat an elderly golden retriever named Riley, his muzzle gray but his eyes still bright and alert. Counselor Prelnor approached the center of the chamber, his skin displaying formal patterns of blue and gold. Today marks a historic occasion, he began, his translator conveying his words to all present. The admission of Earth as a full member of the Galactic Confederation. Ripples of color moved through the audience, mostly showing agreement and welcome, though a few still displayed caution. 1 year ago, many questioned whether a species from a death world could integrate with our peaceful community. Prelnor continued. Those questions were valid, but recent events have provided unexpected answers. The main screen displayed footage from the rescue at the research outpost, humans working alongside a domestic predator to save Confederation lives. The Vrex incident demonstrated something our scientists are still working to understand fully, Prelnor said. Humans do not simply survive despite the dangers of their world. They thrive because of how those dangers shaped them. Frank stepped forward to accept the formal membership document. On behalf of Earth, we thank the Confederation for this welcome. We look forward to sharing knowledge and culture with all member worlds. After the official ceremony, the gathering moved to a large reception area. Many delegates approached the humans with curiosity, particularly those who had heard about the rescue mission. Riley the Golden Retriever became an unexpected center of attention. The elderly dog sat calmly beside Frank, occasionally wagging his tail when someone spoke to him. May I touch it? Asked a young alien delegate, skin showing a mixture of fear and curiosity. Of course, Frank said with a smile. Riley is very gentle. He's been a therapy dog for 15 years, helping people who are sick or scared feel better. He's completely safe. The alien slowly extended a limb, gently touching Riley's head. The dog responded by leaning slightly into the touch, his tail wagging more enthusiastically. He likes you, Frank explained. Soon a small crowd gathered, watching in fascination as the young delegate petted Riley. Other aliens, seeing that it was safe, asked if they could try too. Dr. Samantha Lee moved through the crowd, explaining dog behavior to the curious aliens. See how his tail wags? That means he's happy. And he's leaning toward you because he enjoys being petted. But this is a predator species, correct? Asked a tall, blue-skinned delegate. Its ancestors were hunters? Yes, Samantha confirmed. Golden retrievers were originally bred to retrieve game birds for hunters, but they were selected for gentleness and a desire to please humans. Riley wouldn't hurt anyone. Nearby, Lisa Rodriguez was speaking with a group of Confederation security officers. They were asking about training techniques for working with animals. The key is mutual respect, Lisa explained. We don't force dogs to work with us. We build a relationship based on trust and clear communication. But how can you trust a creature with predatory instincts? One officer asked. Because we understand those instincts, Lisa said. We don't try to eliminate them, we channel them. Scout's hunting drive is what makes him a good search and rescue dog. He wants to find things. We just teach him what to look for and how to tell us when he finds it. Across the room, Captain Williams was speaking with several Confederation military representatives. The conversation had turned to the tactical aspects of the Vrex rescue. Your team seemed to understand the predator behavior immediately, one officer commented. How is this possible without prior contact with the species? Predator behavior has certain universal elements, Derek explained. Assessment before attack, targeting the vulnerable, coordination in pack situations. We've studied Earth predators for thousands of years. The specific details vary, but the patterns are often similar. As the reception continued, Counselor Prelnor approached Dr. Lee. Doctor, the Confederation Council has reviewed your proposal for the Interspecies Cooperation Division. We've approved the funding and resources you requested. Samantha smiled. Thank you, Counselor. We're excited to share Earth's perspective on cross-species partnerships. Several worlds have already requested human advisors, Prelnor told her, particularly those dealing with problematic invasive species or dangerous fauna. Your understanding of predator-prey dynamics could be invaluable. Later, as the reception was winding down, a small alien child approached Frank and Riley. Unlike the adults, the child showed little fear, only curiosity. Is this really your preda? Preda? The child struggled with the word. Predator? Frank supplied with a gentle smile. Well, Riley is a domestic dog. His ancestors were predators, but Riley himself has never had to hunt for food. The child reached out to stroke Riley's soft fur. The elderly dog responded by licking the child's hand, causing a startled but delighted reaction. Where did you get him? The child asked. Riley is what we call a rescue dog, Frank explained. He was abandoned as a puppy. No one wanted him, so my family took him in and gave him a home. Dr. Lee, overhearing this, joined the conversation. Many humans adopt animals that need homes. We have special places called shelters where abandoned or unwanted animals can stay until someone adopts them. The child's parent approached, skin showing patterns of protective concern mixed with interest. You mean? The child asked, processing this new information. You don't just tolerate these hunters among you. You actively seek out the ones nobody wants and bring them into your families. Frank and Samantha exchanged glances, struck by the simple wisdom of the question. Yes, Samantha said, kneeling to the child's level. That's exactly what we do. The child's skin rippled with patterns that the translator interpreted as deep thought. Is that why you humans are so different, because you understand creatures that other species fear? Frank smiled, reaching down to gently scratch behind Riley's ears. The old dog leaned against his leg with complete trust. I think you've figured out something important, he told the child. Humans come from a world where understanding predators was necessary for survival. We learned to respect them, study them, and eventually form bonds with them. On Earth, Samantha added, many predators became not just our companions but part of our families. We protected them, and they protected us. The child looked at Riley with a new understanding. So that is why Deathworlders have no natural predators. You didn't fight them all. No, Frank said softly. We took them all in. As the gathering dispersed and the humans prepared to return to their quarters, news arrived from Earth. The first Confederation Cultural Exchange students had begun working with conservationists at wildlife preserves in Africa and North America. Reports indicated they were particularly fascinated by programs rehabilitating injured predators for return to the wild. The universe was changing, one understanding at a time. Humans had brought something unique to the galactic community, not just technology or resources, but a fundamentally different way of relating to the dangerous and the unknown. Where others saw only threat, humans had learned to see potential allies.